We're switching to our second discussion at this point, everyone, which focuses on the 2023 general election and the process leading up to that very critical exercise for our dear country. So I'm going back to you, Reverend Olu Martins. 2015, we had an election in this country. It was controversial. 2019 was not very different from 2015. In the case of 2019 in particular, there was a talk about the electoral law, how that the amendments that had been made at that time were not assented to by the president. The president's reason was it was too close to the election. And then Nigerians said, well, no, voila. I mean, this could be painful for now, but why don't we try again in 2023? Now we understand these amendments are back again to the president's desk. And then there's a question of will he or will he not assent to it this time? If it doesn't, what will be the excuse? What have been your thoughts along those lines?
Thank you. If you allow me to quickly touch on the issue of corruption. I think one of the major problems with corruption is that culture is stronger than legislation. Once you have something that is a culture, legislate from now till tomorrow. I'll take the issue of spraying of money. Do you know how many times central bank has come to say there's no spraying? And the central bank's daughter does wedding the next day, and the bulk of people who are there. Now we have even gone a notch further. You don't pack the money again. Do you understand? You leave it there so that the world can see how. Yes. And then look at what happened with our brother Obi Kubana. They even took it much higher. They were not spraying the money in pieces anymore. They were spraying it in packs and bundles, and they were even kicking it like football. All right, and that went viral. And some of the people who were there witnessed some of those things are government officials. So that's because spraying is our culture. We have exported spraying now. I've seen videos where, Netherlands and all that, the people are spraying more. That's because culture is stronger than legislation. Corruption has become a culture. All right? And we see jokes. I saw a joke one on Facebook where, this guy was, I think was a mathematical, and then the guy that was, I just saw they marked it wrong, and then he opened the next page and saw some money in the next page. So I went back to the first page and I said, no, I was wrong. You are actually, correct. Foreigners come to this country and push their passport to our immigration officer with $100 inside. That's how bad it has become. So we must start dealing with it from the. And I don't think it's about hunger. Honestly speaking, we live better lives than Ghanaians live in terms of a level of opulence. It's just that there's a culture. Everybody is married to their country. In this part of the world, everybody is married to their enclaves. All right, everybody, like I keep saying, everybody is married to his own one. That's because the center has failed. When the center fails, it's your turn to Israel. Everybody is going to find. So we must start demonstrating overtly that look, a man's life does not consist of the abundance of the things that he. And I agree with him that it must begin from the desk, of the pastors. I always tell my church members that the idea is to be rich, not to look rich. They are two different things entirely. The people I need to impress are my children. I don't need to look rich. The idea is to be rich. Once I can take care of my children, I don't need to dress to convince you that I'm rich. I just need to be sure of what is in my account, and that can take care, of my children. I just thought I should quickly mention that when it comes to do with it, we must still go back to restructuring, sir. We don't have a choice about it. The reason is because we have a Behemoth center. That there are people now who are saying, man, they didn't know that federal government was this powerful. If PDP knew that APC can do with power the things that they are doing today, APC will never have smart power today. They didn't even think that some of the things that are happening today,
were possible.
Were possible at all. Where you have a presidency or a president that is bigger than the Constitution. Everything now panders to the body language of Mr. President. And unfortunately, there are people who are running to him with the macabre dance and creating that impression as well. Otherwise, why should we bother that the president doesn't want to sign the electoral law? You override his veto. That's why you have a national assembly that is independent. Simple government back in the days used to tell us that the most powerful arm of government is actually the national
legislature,
the parliament, because the parliament, so to speak, don't have organs, and that's why there are many. All right, because there are many, it's difficult to reach that consensus. But when they reach their consensus, they become one house. And whether a president likes it or not, you can impeach, for instance, a parliamentarian. You can only recall him for his constituency, and which is a behemoth task.
It's a rigorous process.
Yes, but the president, for instance, can intimidate members of the judiciary. All right, the National Assembly, for instance, can pass a simple vote of no confidence, all right, and decide to make governance difficult for a president. We saw the duo between Dogara and Bukola Saraki, how they became the opposition to the federal, government. And so that's why I say we must go back to restructuring. I shouldn't care about who the president of Nigeria is. I should bother about who my governor is. Because everything that I want in life must be at the table of my governor. A lot of people abroad don't care who the president of America is. They just care in the overall policy. You see governors differing with the president. The president will say, look, there must be blanket issuance of administration of COVID-19. So a governor will say no. A president, one state will say, look, we are for gay, we are for... And that's, you see, what people say.
With issues around abortion, for example.
So if you're not comfortable with how it works in this state, go and look for how to acclimatize in that state. So you see, there's a healthy competition. So everybody is bothered. Who can my governor be that can make this state, livable for me? California threatened to pull out of America. They had to start looking for how to find a consensus, among them. So we must still come to that. That's why election is big deal in this country. It's for some people is everything, because once you can have access to public tea, as far as Nigeria is concerned, you are made just the way they say it. The fact that you have won election, you are governor-elect in this country, the people will be begging you with money, because their own is that once you become governor, they can recoup that money back. So the attraction to public office is too much. But if you restructure, I can hold my governor responsible. I won't bother who the president of Nigeria. At any rate, if you restructure properly, you have more of a confederal system of government, where the powers of the national body are not as strong as they are today. President of Nigeria, as it stands today, is the most powerful president with all intent and purposes in the world. He is not the one that has more powers, the most powers available to him. But he is the one that has the latitude and the leverage to use power anyhow that he wants. He appoints, he fires and hires, right from the electoral officers to the judicial, officers. So when you have a president as powerful as that, all MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies, he is the one who appoints them. The people that he should account to, he's the one who, if to a large extent, accounts for them. But if you decentralize governance, and everybody is looking at the fact that, look, there's no big deal in being in government, people will look for other things to do as it stands today, because of the attraction. That's why everybody is looking at the electoral law. I like this particular one because the National Assembly are daggers drawn with their governors. They have said, you know what, we want open primaries.
Direct primaries.
The governors, understanding the implications of that, that will take powers from them, say they do not want. So that's why the thing is at the table now. So it's now the function of lobbyists, people who can have access more. And at any rate, I think that people are also beginning to learn that the Attorney General of this country appears to be more presidential than the president, himself, because more often than not, the statements that he makes are the statements that are going to be carried out at the presidential level. So let's look at how the thing goes. For me, anytime politicians are fighting, I'm excited about it. Because what it means that there's something in that document that favors, the common man. So whether the president signs it or not, the National Assembly are threatened to say they wait for the constituted time and then override the veto of,
when the need arises.
Yes, when the need arises. I want to see that play out so that we can have more probable, more practical pillars on how we can run election where people can become whatever they can become through the ballot and not necessarily through the bullet. As it stands today, our political system, like you rightly chronicled, is still more about the strong who survives, no matter how popular you are. But if you have a level playing field, nobody is going to bother about all the money that you need. Once you can secure, and that's why I'm excited that in this electoral law, leverage has been given to INEC to say, look, electronic, whereas it's not yet to Huru, but at least we have gotten to a place where we can block leakage, so that somebody doesn't lose the election at the polling unit and then goes to wait at the collation center where he can by rule, change 100,000 votes and just add 1-0, he has 1 million, and then he wins the election.
Thank
so
you.
That's a place. That's a good place to start from.
Great, great. So Patrick, let's talk about the assurances that the president, or if you like, the presidency, has given out to not just Nigerians but the entire world. The last one in the course of the week that was being the U.S., for example. Can we take those assurances to the bank?
He has said it. Does he have a choice in the actual sense? Left for me, I don't think.
Because a while ago you said that Winston Churchill has said
yes,
they are shocked that...
That's when he was campaigning.
Yes.
He's not campaigning, he's president now.
Okay.
Now he said when politicians are campaigning, that's what Winston said. Okay. Now lying openly like that, well, we've seen that also, so we can't wish with that. But the truth is that it will be a difficult task for him to renege from what he has said now, because he will be setting the country at flame, and that will not be good. Because a lot of people are waiting to see, yes, what he said is just affirming. Because I believe he also heard from quarters that, look, if this happened, this is what's likely to happen. Yes. You know, there was even in 2011 when there was this, the nation will be ungovernable if, you know, he doesn't become president and things like that, if he doesn't win the election or whatever, if the whole narrative is not on the way it should go or things are not done properly. And I think nobody has monopoly of violence, no matter what it is. So that's just basically this, that you are president by God's divine providence now does not mean you have, or you need consultation, you need to respect other persons. I think he has come to understand that. And even if people feel I don't think he would do that. Not that he won't, or maybe because he's an old soldier, like people say, no, it's not going to work this time, because Nigerians are way more enlightened now. You know, the discussion, you need to see the forest everywhere that's going on. You know, people are really waiting and they're ready. And I know the president will do the needful. He will do it, and they will.
Let's talk about the international community. We understand the US is watching, the UK is watching. In fact, the whole international community is watching. Do we need to receive pressure, or as they say on the streets, heat from these people, from these, if you like, these concerned persons, all right, or government or institutions, before we do the right thing as a country?
In fairness, I don't think they are watching anything. They're only watching to see their resources or their investments are preserved and protected. I think that's what I feel.
So they're not interested in the process?
They're not interested in the process, or what, if it's going to favor them. So when they say they are watching and all of that, it is a democratic country, and whatever it is. Okay, if the president decides not to, what would they do? Do you have right to break into another country's territorial integrity? Where's international law and boundary line respects? You can't just break in and do that, no. Yes, you are watching, we come up with sanction. Yes, we've been sanctioned in the days of Abacha. We had a whole lot of sanction, but the man still had his day. Yeah, now that we're saying a democratic system, for you to feel that they are watching us and there are some kind of, that's what I don't want to always talk about. I don't believe there's anybody watching. You are only creating that impression on the minds of Nigerians that somebody is watching. They are not watching.
So the idea of saying they are watching is self-serving?
It is self-serving, oh yes. And again, basically, if you look around, what are they watching for if they're even watching? They are watching over their investments. They have a lot of investment. They have a lot of things they want to do with us. We have a lot of raw materials that they need here, and there are things they are doing with our people. We have good brains that could be exported to their country for work. They are watching not because they want things to be done to favor you, the average Nigerian. Nigeria is going to be built by Nigerians. We are not going to wait for Americans to come and say this is what's happening. What is their business? Do I care about what happened in England now? Do I care about what happened in the United States? I don't care, because that's their country. So you don't expect them to care. They can't weep more than the bereaved, be more Catholic than the Pope in the contest. I don't think that's the position. So in all fairness, I think every man is protecting his interests from day one. It has always been like that. The American system is all about interest, and that's true. Even if they are giving you some good support and, you know, they are doing aid and all of that, it's all about their underlining secret or interest beneath the jacket. That's basically what it is. So
okay.
That's how it is.
Thank you, Patrick. So as we tie it up now, gentlemen, let me come back to you again, Chris. The issue of reforms, especially at that institutional level, we understand is pivotal to this narrative. I mean, this whole conversation we're having right now. INEC has never had issues with money, we understand. INEC has always had monies made available to it. So there's no excuse of we couldn't do this and that, and so on and so forth. We're seeing, for example, in 2015, how INEC under Professor Atahiru Jega had come back on 2 occasions to the National Assembly to ask for more money to be able to do certain things as far as those elections were concerned. That was in 2011. 2015, but as it stands today, we're looking at a situation where the president has talked about how that this government will support reforms institutionally, including INEC, for example. Of course, all eyes will be on INEC, being the umpire apparently. But then again, you're asking yourself, what are some other fundamental issues we must tackle in the build-up to the 2023 general election and even beyond to ensure that our electoral process becomes more credible than it stands today?
Now, elections are affected by several factors which all must work together before you can say the election that became the end product or the end result of these processes, is justified to hold in the first place. And if it does hold, that it is transparent or fair and free. The key and central factor in all of this are the political parties. The president's own political party, as we speak now, is being run by a communique. It has suspended its constitution. From the day the president was supposed to have a general meeting with his party, and while the NEC were waiting for the president to come and deliberate with NEC to come up with solutions to the internal problems they have with their former national chairman, Adams Oshomole, the president came and read a communique by fiat and appointed a caretaker committee by fiat. And that caretaker committee is running that party. That party from, he's a lawyer, he might tell us. I can assure you that all the decisions taken by Bunu or Buni from the time he was appointed is null and void. Is that the party that is going into an election, and we're talking about credibility of an election, a party that is run by a communique? The Constitution does not make room for a permanent caretaker committee, which does not even exist in the Constitution of the APC. The president by fiat created that office, and then Bunu is running that as a national party that is why they cannot hold the Congress till now. So those factors are there. And the president is assuring the international community that he's going to do the international community should have asked him, the journalist there should have asked him, it was a virtual meeting. Mr. President, your party, is it being governed by your constitution? That single question should have shown the empty statements of the president and his party to the international community via that virtual meeting. Your party now, is it being run by your constitution? So how do you now ensure a fair, transparent, legitimate election? Now, that's that. Now, other processes of INEC, conducting the free and fair election. It's going to conduct a free and fair election after it has conducted primaries. This is 2021 December. Can you please tell me as a journalist, candidates that have come out from either of the two major parties that by their own pronouncement say they are contesting for presidency that will be done in 2023, we have 1 year. The reason why that is not done is because, as he said, the body language of the president overwhelming powers, both the one given constitutionally and the one given by influence and the one generated by self, is what rules our country, and that's why it's ruling the political party. And that's why we are a country of 200 million people wants to conduct election in 2023. A presidential election that will go around 774 local government areas and God knows how many number of communities in 36 states of the federation, multilingual and culturally divided, multifaceted cultural differences like Nigeria, and you don't have a presidential candidate who has even made pronouncement. When is he now going to go round? When is he now going to talk to the people, sell his manifesto, win all these multicultural, heterogeneous people to a common vision that we call Nigeria vision, or we call the vision of his party or his manifesto? We don't have any of such thing going on. And it's not going on because the president has not, in his APC, first of all, even allowed you to have a Congress, because the caretaker committee is still running. There are divisiveness there. The PDP themselves have not been able to put their house in order. They've not been able to come up with. The PDP has not said for now where they're even zoning the presidency to. And as a Southerner,
the speculation has it that the PDP will zone to the north ultimately. Very good.
So no speculation. We are now running things on speculation, and that's what I'm saying. So the Southerners, as a Southerner, my interest in 2023 is not all those ballooning. You can say all that in the paper. What INEC has conducted a very credible election in Anambra State. INEC, the chairman of INEC, what's his name? Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, It's not complaining that INEC does not have the competencies to conduct a 2023 election if you just give him a free hand.
Including electronic voting.
Yes, including electronic voting. In fact, they have been begging for you to allow them using electronic voting. So if the competency of INEC is not in question, what is in question is the political question. And as a Southerner, the PDP has to stop playing the ostrich and let them come out and tell us where the presidency is going to, because that is what is going to make me interested
in the process,
in the 2023 president. And I am not alone. I have millions of my likes in the South, because nobody is going to pull a wool over our eyes. It is politics. Politics is all embraced, it's holistic. So we are going to have to look at the presidencies of the government in power now and all its policies, how it has favored you as a people. You are going to look at the political parties and their policies, how it will favor you as a people. That's what we call politics. So the politics of 2023 is the politics of the political party telling us whether they agree with the principles of restructuring, the principles of zoning, so that there will be fair and equitable distribution of power. The federal government right now is not heavy. All the powers of the federal government, military, defense, finance, all of them are from the north. That is not politics. That is discrimination. So what we want, if we are going to have politics, then the politics has to be equitable. It has to be fair. It means the entire country must be given a level playing ground to play.
Gentlemen, I'm afraid this is where we're going to leave it with this discussion this morning. It's getting more interesting as we get closer to the election. Probably I must thank you all for coming to spend some time with us on the program this morning. Reverend Olu Martins, thank you for coming. And Dr. Patrick Awosegi, we appreciate you as well.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
And Comrade Christopher Jekere, thank you as well for coming to spend time with us.
Thank you.
This is where we end the discussion on TMI this morning. Just a few interviews more before we call it a wrap on the show. Stay with me.